had a Star Trek video in a while. I wonder what's going on in that world. Do I dare look? Rosario Dawson wants to play Q. Oh, that is never going to... No, never going to happen. Hello, everyone. I am Becca Random 42. The one, the only, the original. Your favorite YouTube harpy. Rosario Dawson wants to play Q in Star Trek Picard and Discovery 2. Well, true reasons why this is probably not going to happen, even though I know what you're thinking. But Mecca, she's a woman and of color, and they keep replacing and injecting women's and people of colors in their little giant game of Wokemon. In Hollywood in the current trends, and even so much so that they kind of rebooted Spock and made her a girl this time, so Spock could have like a big fantasy big sister. That wasn't good enough. No, they need to bring in real Spock, sort of, almost.
I like science.
Oh, and people were so excited for it. They just ate it up, didn't they?
This is so fucking cool.
It is fucking cool.
So sorry.
You should be sorry. It wasn't cool. It wasn't awesome. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't good. And, I'm not saying they just swapped out. No, they basically do the thing where they take like a fantasy, like a fan fiction fantasy, and they're like, I wish Sarek were my dad and Spock were my brother instead of my family, because my family doesn't like me because I'm whatever. And then they can't write that in there, and they're like, oh crap, I gotta sell them to Hollywood. I need to make it a woman. But I don't see that happening in this case. And I'll get to that in a minute because I also talk about Star Wars here. And we know where she's going into Star Wars in that universe really soon. Rosario Dawson wants to play Q. Actress and Star Trek superfan Rosario Dawson has been getting a lot of buzz lately for potentially showing up in the next season of the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, but she still has not given up her longtime dream of being in Star Trek, and she has latched onto the new idea about who she can play. She's been trying, she's been lobbying, she wants to be a Klingon, she wants to just be anything in it, and she definitely is a fan of this stuff. Yesterday, Rosario Dawson was the guest on Variety's After Show, talking about her arc on the USA drama Briar Patch No One Cares. And, of course, she's talking about being Ahsoka Tano in The Mandalorian. Well, this is all related. This is going back to why she's never, ever going to be in Star Trek. Not that I'm protesting, but I sure as crap don't want anybody other than John Delancey playing Q, even though we have had Susie Plaskin as the female Q, and there's the whole continuum. Even Keegan Delancey, Q's real-life son, has played a Q in Star Trek, which is how they could really bring back Icheb. Come to think of it, hey, hint, hint, because Icheb and the Q offspring were pretty close. And actually, that's all related to why Rosario Dawson will probably never be in a current incarnation of Star Trek, ever, in my opinion. And she goes on in her interview here, I'm hoping, and I'm not trying to be greedy, but since we're talking about Star Wars and we're talking about fan casting, if I get Mandalorian, it's 1,001% because of fans. Also, the Star Trek, okay, that's it. I'm just putting it out there. The two universes, Star Trek and Star Wars. I get in those two, and I'm telling you, that's it. I will just retire. So clearly dream jobs for her, and man, I do want her in Star Trek. I would have loved to have her play Michael Burnham, and I believe some of my viewers told me she was originally going to play Michael Burnham, and she might have been a better actress for the character. She might have been terrible. We don't know, because a lot of it's writing, directing. A lot of it is not really knowing how to play the character, because clearly Sonequa Martin Green is nowhere near the same person in front of the camera on Star Trek Discovery as she is in person in front of a stage, in front of an audience. It's completely night and day. And I kind of have to blame some of that on the directing and certainly the writing of the character of Mikey Burnham, Michael Spock, whatever you want to call her. Here we go. She wanted to be a spicy Vulcan. Ooh. Hey, there we could have some representation on that front, if you know what I'm saying. Hint, hint, wink, wink, please, please. And she's even made the please saying she had the perfect amount of forehead to play a Klingon. Now, do we have to cancel her for referring to her own forehead? I don't know. I don't know anymore. What are we doing? What are the rules? Who cares? Who knows? Speaking to Variety yesterday, Dawson made it clear she's not picky and would take any part, even one without lines. But her Star Trek loving family has her hoping to land a more iconic role. This I like hearing, though. She wants to just be in it. She'll do anything. And she continues, I was thinking that I know people who do makeup on it, and I could just be a background Romulan or Vulcan or whatever. It would be so fun to just throw me in there. I could just walk through as a Klingon, just something in the background. And my brother got really mad and said, absolutely not. I was thinking I could just be a red shirt who always gets killed. He was like, no, we talked about this. You have to be a captain. He plays the Star Trek Online game and does missions, and thinks I have to at least be a captain. But then my dad said I should be Q because male Q, female Q, young Q, they're all just Q. It's the Q continuum. And this is how we were clickbaited on this one. Because I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh no, they're gonna woke him on and swap out the Q. I thought that. My first thought was, oh hell no swapping out. But no, I get it. I get where she's coming from here. It's a little bit clickbaity, especially with somebody like me who does this for a living, where I go in and pick out the rage bait articles and the hate baits and the hot takes and hate takes and all of the crazies. So immediately I'm just going to kind of see that for a split second until I read the thing. I've gotten a few of these where I've been clickbaited before. And she's correct about the godlike race known as the Q. Of course she was. Here we go. You got Susie Plaskin, this is where they did the and made the young Q, the Qling, the Q offspring. Qling? Oh, I don't like that. No, forget I said that one. Now here's why, in my opinion, I cannot see her ever appearing on a current series of Star Trek, because the culture of the people who are working on and writing for and producing the current Star Trek episodes are all part of this super uneducated, political, affiliated thing where they don't quite understand that they use people of color, in my opinion, and people of the alphabet community, in my opinion, as token circus freaks to say, look at us, we're diverse, look how not-ist we are. Because what do they do with these characters? The LGBT characters, they get killed off. Oh, and then they come back to life because nothing ever is really dead in these. Or they tell you you're an ist if you say Michael Burnham's a really, really bad character, even though this character would still be terrible for basically stealing Spock's character and father, even if it were an old white dude. So yeah, argument null and void. I think they confuse criticizing something with something that is diverse to being prejudiced against it. No. If we were upset, people like me wouldn't have a favorite captain as Cisco. Thank you very much. Toxic Lucasfilm writers want to cancel Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. And you see all of this. Now, just to kind of sum up, a lot of the people of that mindset are the people that they really, really pander to in the new Star Trek. And remember what I said about poor Icheb? Hey, that's me in a darker hair phase. Icheb's a character on Voyager that was practically raised by Seven of Nine almost. She was more of like a big sister that was taking care of a little brother. She basically didn't even think his parents were good enough for him. And turns out she was right. They killed off the character Icheb where they didn't need to. Having an eyeball plucked out was not a life-threatening injury for him. He did not have a cortical node where if they plucked it out and removed it, he would have died from it because he gave it to Seven in a life-saving thing, because that's what you did. You saved lives. But no. This new faction of Star Trek, in my opinion, had it out against the actor who played Icheb for reasons about basically why anybody in Hollywood gets canceled. Basically, he did some things that the people who go around trying to cancel everybody had a problem with, and even though he had apologized for it, been forgiven, they still kind of have that mentality. And this is what I see with the Star Trek production. There's very much this sort of clique of this new mindset of people who think basically white man bad, white man bad, white man bad. They forget how diverse and how progressive Star Trek actually was. And you get a lot of people who are kind of in that mindset. And those type of people don't like people like Rosario Dawson. Because to sum up, once upon a time, she had a house worker at her home that allegedly a family member said something insensitive to, and said house worker at her home happened to be of the alphabet community, you know, the T part, where they went from one gender to another. And this is why they're upset with Rosario Dawson. And you could read this full article over at Bleeding Fool. I don't believe they will ever allow Rosario Dawson to be on this show due to the current click mentality of the behind the scenes production. But that's just my personal opinion. Do I have a problem with it if she were to play a Q? As long as it's not our Q and it's like another version of Q, as long as we still see our Q, our John Delancey Q. Because seriously, John Delancey's my Q. I got his autograph. I got a picture taken with him. Of course, Rob has that because he got all the good shit from Vegas. As long as we see that we still have our Q, it won't be such an issue who they bring in as another Q. They can use that as an opportunity to fix the canon, to go back to the way things were, to put 2 and 2 together again to make 4.
This is the power of math, people! Come on!
I just wanted to play that clip just to have a little higher P score. But they will never do that either, and that's the problem. They will never do that either because once you see the Q in there, then you can have the excuse and the reason to just snap the entire universe back to the way it should be. I might not be a Q, but I do play one on YouTube. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Sorry this video was a little from here to here to here, but a lot of this was relevant and I had to throw all that in there. I am MechaRandom42 and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.